Welcome back, my friends, to the Mailright Real Estate Agent podcast show. We are on episode 132. My name is Thomas Nelson, my co-host Jonathan Denwood, and I welcome our guest this week, Jordan Boys. He's a Canadian broker who's done a great job building a brand for himself and his company in Saskatoon, Canada. So, Jordan, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Jonathan, do you want to introduce yourself before I dive into questions with Jordan?
Yeah, sure. I'm the founder of Mailright, folks. We're a marketing platform that have a number of tools that help make your Facebook advertising and lead generation more effective. Back to you, Thomas.
All right. And I'm a residential realtor here in San Diego, California, where I'm serving the military, retirees, and I'm working with a niche of, unfortunately, a growing niche in California, the divorced couples. But I'm helping them make informed decisions in the process of going through a difficult time. I'm with Big Block Realty, and we're going to dive into this show today with our special guest, Jordan Boys. Jordan, I did a little bit of reading up on you on your robust website, and so I wanted to kind of set up who you are and how you got where you are by starting at the beginning. When did you actually get licensed to be a realtor?
I first got licensed in 2010. So when I started or taking the courses, it was a lot different than it is now. We only had to take residential and introduction to real estate. So I was up in license in 28 days.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, since then they've changed it. Now you got to take commercial, farm, and residential just to trade residential.
Oh,
so
wow.
They're just making you go through a little bit more process now. But 2010, I think about March is when I started.
Okay. Well, that's that even still, it's a quicker process than it is here in California, at least. I know it took me several weeks to get through the tests and then to take the state exam. There was a mandatory waiting period. I don't remember how much,
Okay.
but it felt like it was like 30 days or something. I don't recall. It was almost 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
I just remember from start to finish, it took a while. So that's but it sounds like that Canada's decided to really test the merits of the people getting a license to make sure that they're competent in what they're doing, and it's not just some 30-day rush decision to get a license.
No. And it depends. Like, it's correspondence here. So some people might take a couple months, some might take a year. Right? When you feel you're ready, you go in and write a test at the kind of university or SciAst type place. And if you don't pass, you can pay again and rewrite. They have tests every 2 Mondays, I believe. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then now 2010, you got licensed. So prior to that, what were you doing? What was your career? I
was actually a professional poker player for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
So this was a very natural transition.
Yeah. I was actually going to do real estate before. And I'd met with a few brokers when I was like 19 or 20, and just the general feel was probably too young.
Yes.
Especially here, it was a real kind of old boys club at the time. And it made sense, but I kind of regret it now. But so I went and did that. I had a few friends that were doing it and had met them through work, and we just kind of started playing. And then one day I was making more playing 2 hours after work than I was going to work. So quit my job and started doing that.
Wow. Now, did you travel with that? Was that something that you competed in?
A bit. Like 99% of the time we were playing online.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So we played the World Series in Vegas.
Wow.
1 year, and World Poker Tour in LA and a few things, but majority was online.
So you must be ferocious to negotiate with.
Oh, no.
Well,
No, it's just a different lifestyle, just basically sitting on a computer all day, clicking buttons. So.
Well, it could feel like that some days in real estate too.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well, then, but why were you thinking of real estate before, and what brought you back to real estate? Why was real estate calling you?
It's something that just always interests me, the whole industry as a whole, like not so much just the selling and buying. I mean, yeah, that's what we do, but the other avenues that you can get into, whether it's, rental properties, land development, building houses, that was the aspect that really interested me. We're just starting to dabble in that a little bit, but still selling and the brokerage is my main focus. It's just something that always, I don't know, was always there for me.
When you say you're starting to dabble in development?
Yeah, a bit.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, just financing some like builds and
okay. Gotcha.
stuff like that. Yeah.
So now what were well, how long were you an agent before you became a broker, or did you immediately become a broker?
No, I was a agent with a different independent company in the city here for 5 years. So I went out on my own in 2015.
What led you to that crossroads where you realized it was time to go out on your own? What was motivating you?
At the time, I liked the independent model, and you could argue this all day. Independent franchise. And this is just me personally, didn't see a huge amount of value in it in our city. We're only 250,000 people here, so it's still a pretty small town feel in a lot of ways. So more and more I began to think it was all referral and repeat. And at the end of the day, people didn't really care what sign was on your lawn.
Right.
They used you for you. So when our previous company, they got bought out by Royal LePage. So I'd already been thinking about going out on my own, and I'd been forming a team. And once they got bought, that was the biggest independent brokerage in the province. I felt it was a good time to kind of step in.
Yep.
So yeah, May of 2015, we went on our own and opened up.
So, but before you left the brokerage to start your own, you had already formed a team at that point?
Yeah, like it was a team of there were about 3 or 4 of us, like still within the company, but I had a couple people helping me with buyers, and then I brought my brother into the industry, and then our assistant as well. So
okay, yeah, I saw that your brother. Yeah. I assumed he was your brother. I saw him on your website. But then when you were setting this up, though, that you wanted it to go beyond a team, obviously, because according to your website, it looks like you have a couple dozen people working with you, couple dozen agents. So,
just
go ahead.
A couple came on today. So,
oh, really?
We're getting near 60 now.
Wow.
So okay. I think it's 57 or 58-ish.
Wow. Yeah. Well, when you were building the model for the brokerage, because I read, what I was impressed by was what your vision was for your brokerage because of how frustrated you were with the existing brokerages in your town. So what did you sit down to do with your brokerage to set it apart and make it unique?
I re-looked at some of the models since we weren't going to get kind of double dipped on, for instance, for paying franchise fees.
Right.
And franchise and institutional advertising. We kind of put that money back into our agents, more so in some lead generation tools. And probably like there are a huge amount of agents don't make it past their first or second year. We've had 7 or 8 brand new ones start. They're all still with us. So big focus was on agents getting past that hurdle, and training was our main thing starting out. Like when I started, I wasn't from the city, so I didn't know anybody. I just went out there and kind of did it. And so I kind of teach the methods that made me successful when I started out.
So what are the stats in Canada for an agent making it? Or let me ask you this. How many years do you go before you have to renew your license?
What do you mean? Sorry. Like we have to renew every year.
Every year. Okay. See, in California, I only have to renew every 4 years. So that's why I ask. Because the stat in California, at least, is we're seeing a 90% non-renewal rate. so the guy that got his license today in 4 years has a 90% failure rate.
Yeah, I don't think it would be quite that high here. I can't speak for all of Canada, but I know we have to, like with our board, we have to pay once a year, and then the real estate commission that governs everyone, we pay them a separate fee once a year as well to stay licensed.
Okay. So getting back to how you set up your brokerage, I'm curious now, you said you reinvested into the lead generation. So what are you offering your agents that work for you? What kind of lead generation tools?
A lot of like funnels and landing pages. I did a lot of training on kind of creating Facebook funnels and directing people that way. And then we also hired we have a full-time social media girl that just straight works on SEO and website development and agent help. She's on Facebook chat pretty much 24/7 for any of our agents to reach her.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a huge benefit for us.
So are you getting a lot of lead generation out of Facebook?
Yeah, quite a bit. And more so just through like Google and the different landing pages we have running. It's pretty much paying a lot of the agents' bills for the year with the amount of leads they're getting. Just if, the few deals here and there offline that they used to not get.
So when you say Google, though, are you talking about AdWords or are you putting at different kinds? What kind of marketing are you doing on Google?
Sign up type pages, right?
Okay.
Where, yeah. Kind of like a Boomtown type thing. I don't know if you.
Yep, we have
Boomtown. Not the program we use, but similar different ones. And then we there's all sorts of them now through like lead pages and ClickFunnels and sites like that to get set up and running too.
What are you using as the enticement for the people to click through? What's the item of value you're offering?
Depends on what kind of campaign it's going to be. If it's an off-market listing that's coming up or one that would be a good revenue property, a great first-time home buyer one, it totally depends. There's no real set structure we have for that.
Okay, makes sense though. I mean, you got to tailor to the ad.
Yeah, exactly. So then you got to constantly change them too. So get boring.
What is getting back to just how you recruit? You said you just had a couple of people come on. What is the criteria that your company has for recruiting people? What are you looking for in an agent when you hire them, and what are they lacking when you don't hire them?
Not so much on their previous business. I mean, that's something. If we're taking on a brand new agent, I mean, that's what they did before. Kind of, I judge their personality one-on-one more than anything. I feel I have a pretty good read of character that way. For bringing agents over, kind of goes back to the small city type thing. For us, it's big time on their reputation in the industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like to form my own opinion of people. Who knows? They might have had one deal go sideways and someone's running their mouth. But at the end of the day, you can tell pretty quickly. Or we know just from being around for the time we have now.
So character's big then. It's
huge.
Yeah. And then what about training? Once they're on board, do you subscribe to any formal trainings, like any of the, like the Brian Buffinis or the Tom Ferries of the world?
No, we do it all our own in-house. I've had a few coaches over the year, and I still have an online coach that helps with all the funnels and stuff like that. But we do our on different topics, weekly or bi-weekly training up in a boardroom in our office.
Who runs your trainings?
Myself, and we have a manager that does as well, and another agent that is extremely familiar with the online lead generation. And then we do a lot of screen recording and videos for the agents on how to set things up.
Okay.
Just because it's, when you get that many agents, I mean, we're mid-50s now. If you get to 70, 80, 100, you're never going to get them all together at once.
Yeah.
So going online seems to just be easier, and then they can watch it when they want.
That makes sense. I mean, my office does that too, in the sense that we'll do in-office meetings for those that actually want to go in, but they broadcast it
Right.
online, so you can watch it from anywhere online.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
Because I mean, to coordinate that many schedules, it just you could put a message out to say, "Hey, team meeting next week at 10 a.m." It's not going to work for half,
right.
and so yeah, do
So
the best you can.
what about tools like as far as like is there a specific CRM you use company wide?
Company wide, yeah, I use right now. I dabble between a few of them. Um, I like HubSpot, but it gets a little pricey for what it does. We use GetResponse and Mailchimp
Oh, okay.
quite a bit.
And what about transaction management? Is that all online for your company?
Yeah, 100%. Broker Wolf or Lone Wolf
Lo-
Technologies.
Okay, Lone Wolf.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I was associated with a company out of Sacramento that used that for a while.
yeah, it's pretty steep learning curve, I
Yes.
found, but once you got it, I mean, it's a great program, but yeah, it's tough to learn.
So, as far as your lead generation goes, what are you finding is the number one source of your leads? You mentioned the Facebook, but is that your number one, or what do you attribute most of your business coming in the door from?
My personal or brokerage?
Let's start with you. Yeah, you yourself.
My personal is probably like 90% repeat and referral now.
So, how are you generating that repeat business? How do you stay in touch with your clients?
Uh, Through mail outs or call or text. I prefer text. I text a lot. Um, I just had read somewhere that I think it was Verizon or something in the States did a survey that 90% of phone calls go unanswered, but 97% of texts get read as soon as they're sent. So no one returns voicemails anymore. So it's mainly text. But for my personal business, a lot of them are developers. So, they're building 5, 10, 20, 30 houses a year. So we just keep doing their business.
Oh, okay.
And a lot do infills as well. So we sell them a old house, they tear it down, build new. So a lot of that stuff. And then first time buyers, just from the age we're at, with my brother and myself, just a lot of our friends in our social circle is starting to get into the market a bit more.
Yeah, I think before we go any further, Thomas, we need to go for our break, Thomas.
Oh, yeah, it's commercial time already. All right, Jonathan, take it away.
We're going to go for our break, folks. We're going to come back. We're going to have I think it's been a fascinating discussion with Jordan, and we'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back, folks. We've had I think, a really fascinating conversation with Jordan. Back to you, Thomas.
All right. And just to remind everyone, you are listening to episode 132 of the Mail-Right Real Estate Agent Podcast Show. And we are speaking to our special guest, Jordan Boyce from Canada today. He's a broker up in Saskatoon. And we're diving into how he created a brand that is setting itself apart in his town. Jordan, back to what we were discussing, I was curious to know with the text, because this is where I was going. Do you include video text? Is video marketing part of your marketing plan?
Marketing, yes, but client follow-up, no.
Okay.
Like I don't send them videos to just touch base with them and stuff, but yeah, like either Facebook message, I'm on Messenger. I mean, it's just like text now on your phone.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of just touching base with them, text, mail outs, not mail outs in terms of physical mail, sorry, but through GetResponse or MailChimp.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then follow up after they moved into their house, or sellers, we at least contact them once a week with how things are going.
Are you doing anything in the way of purchasing leads, or do you just strictly generate leads?
We purchase in a way that we pay to run the software and the ads to lead people back to it, right?
Okay.
But not actual from a third party saying, hey, we got these 5 buyers ready to go, pay us X. We don't do any of that.
Okay. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with that here.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the States. What kind of market are you having right now? What's the climate like in your market?
Steady now for our mid-range houses. Condos are pretty depressed right now. It's
Really?
starting to level off, but we hit a peak kind of in 2014, 2015.
Uh-huh.
And then we're a pretty big like resource sector. So oil, potash, everything kind of tanked in value. And then the market fell. We overbuilt. There are way too many condos on the market.
Mm.
And prices actually fell quite a bit. And now they're not falling as much now, but still not going up. We're just kind of leveled off here. It's still firmly a buyer's market.
Okay. That sounds very familiar to me because in California in 2006, we started seeing that happen. And by 2007, the developers, especially in downtown San Diego, realized that they had definitely overbuilt. We saw a ton of investors turn what they were going to flip into rentals,
Right.
which then also saturated the rental market, which depressed all the rental values. So we went through that for a number of years before we recovered. But coming out the other side of it, now there's a dozen cranes downtown, and there's
For sure.
It bounces back. I mean, what we're seeing help our resurgence is not only the first-time buyers, but there's a lot of second home buyers. They're buying in downtown because they use it as a destination location, or they might be, for a vacation rental, or they snowbird here. Well, we have some. For a while, we were getting a lot of Canadians in Pacific Northwest buying second homes down here. And then they would winter down here and then go back home for their spring and summer.
Yeah, that certainly isn't the case here. People buy down there to get away from here. we get some pretty nasty winters and a ton of snow, so it's not a place to typically vacation to.
Yeah. Well, earlier you mentioned that you were new in town. Where did you, when you arrived from, let me rephrase. Where did you come from?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm from a town of about 800 people. So in 2002, when I graduated high school, I moved to the city then.
Okay.
But not knowing I knew a few friends from my town that also moved, because in our hometown, jobs are very limited, right? When you have a town of 800 people. So you either take over the family farm, or a lot of people would move away and go to school or look for work in the city. And farming just wasn't in it for me.
Was that still in the province of Saskatchewan?
Still in Saskatchewan. Yeah. We're about, 2.5 hour drive, like 300 kilometers away from the city I grew up.
So what did you do to start? I mean, because I even though I didn't make a huge move, I moved 500 miles away from my hometown to come to San Diego.
Yeah,
And I remember what that was like when you get to town and nobody. And
yes.
So what did you do to start meeting people and earning their trust as to be their realtor?
Yeah, I was going into the office a lot when I first started. And one thing I picked up on or just noticed is they would give the more veteran agents tended to hate doing sign calls. So when they get a call on their listing, random person. So I volunteered to start taking them. And then from there, the main thing that got me going and was pretty much all my success was doing open houses.
Yeah.
That's where I picked up pretty much every single buyer that I ever met. My first year in 10 months, I think did 88 transactions, and I bet you 85 of them were buyers from open houses.
Wow. That's a huge response.
Yeah. I was doing 6 a weekend for 6 months straight. I didn't miss a day.
Wow. That's incredible. So Jonathan and I have a huge debate. That's why you see him going berserk right now, because he's a huge supporter of open houses. I tend to not do open houses because I haven't had a good experience doing them as far as recapturing business. So what did you do Educate me, because Jonathan's trying to get me to get back out and do open houses. What did you do to convert people so that they didn't just come in, see the house, and blow you off and move on?
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends why you're doing the open house, right? I think with today's, day and age and market, doing an open house to sell a house, I don't see a ton of value in that at all.
Right.
Unless you have a project, you have a show home and you have 50 other homes or 50 other units that you can show people and you're selling them right from the open house.
Right.
But to go do one, resale single family home to try and sell it, you're, in my opinion, wasting time.
Yes.
Now, to pick up buyers on the other hand, that's all I did. And it worked. Just depends. I had kind of my pitch that I'd give. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, what did you say? Or what do you do? And it depends. Like, I've said this before, but if a 60-year-old couple comes in one day versus a 25-year-old single guy, I'm probably going to bring up a different conversation, right?
Right.
Odds are I'm not going to ask the couple, what did you guys get up to last night? Or where'd you go out? Where the young guy I'm going to, and just kind of try find some common ground, ask them about, if they're watching the football game later in the day or whatever I can to strike up the conversation. The last thing I'm trying to do when they come in is just start, pitching the house and give me your contact information. That is saved for the very end after they've, made our small talk, looked around. Then you start going into the, how long have you been looking? Is this the area you're looking for? And, if they're like, oh no, we're just starting out. Then I go into the, has anybody been helping you? And if they're, say, we're just looking on our own, then offer to set them up on an auto email. Or I always had the other vacant homes in the area printed off. If they were similar price range, so I could offer to take them to them right after to just spend more time with them.
Yep.
But yeah, there are weekends where I'd go home with, 10 to 15 emails from one open house.
Wow.
You see, I think you said something really key there, Jordan. You're there to have conversations with these people. A lot of agents, they're a little bit antisocial almost.
Yeah.
You're in the business. There's two, I don't know if you agree with this, Jordan, there's two parts of a successful broker agent now. There's the online activity, and you need to be social, don't you, Jordan?
Yeah, I think social is super important. They don't want to just come in and be pitched on how great the house is when they're coming in, and they've heard it from likely every other agent from the open houses they went to. So I just kind of step back and let them do their thing, and I'm there if they have any questions about the house, but I'm not following them around from room to room and getting up in their face kind of thing. Yeah. No one likes a pushy salesperson at the open house. So
no, that'd be the equivalent of walking into a store and having the clerk follow you around while you're picking out your shoes or something. It'd be kind of weird.
They come offer you if you need a hand, and once you're ready, they're kind of there for you. So that's what I do. I just very relaxed, very laid back, and let them do their thing and just offered support at the end.
Did you use any technology at your open houses, or was this just old school pen and paper?
Just old school. I just, give them a feature sheet when they came in and talk to them. And if they gave me their info, then I just put it in my phone and what house I met them at. And when I went home after the open house, then I'd put them all into my database. But
what would be your first follow-up with them? I mean, I know it kind of depends on the conversation, but let's just say it wasn't somebody that you took out and showed additional property to. They just said, set me up with a search. So but how did you start your follow-up? Yeah.
So the main thing, like, I kind of got in my own way off the start. Not so much with everybody, but I assumed everybody in the public, I guess in a lot of cases, knew more than they did. And still to this day, not everyone knows how it works, right? So I'd start with, say you, for instance, I met you. So I'd get home after and I'd shoot you an email. Hey, Thomas, great meeting you today at the open house. If you have any questions, let me know. And then I go into just to let you know, I can get you into any house in the city. So whether it's Century 21, Remax, Coldwell Banker, I can get you in, just let me know. And then if I have their criteria from the open house, I'd put them on an auto email.
Yep.
And then follow up just, every week. Hey guys, this one fits your criteria. Let me know if you'd like to take a look. But I found that I'd get a ton of responses from people saying, oh, I didn't know you could show me that one. They thought they had to go through the listing agent for every property. So just something to lock them down kind of thing. Just let them know that, hey, Sask houses, or I guess what it's called here, for sale by owner site.
Yeah.
Anything, we can help you out, and just make sure you kind of lock that down.
You made a huge point there, because we do assume too much. And I think it's because I don't even think it's a negative thing. I think we don't want to condescend our people, because we know how much information is available to them.
Correct.
But they're drowning in that information, and they're starving for our wisdom. So we need to start out, and and there's a way to tactfully introduce them to how this works. And if they know, then you can move on. But I think that's a huge point, because I had a friend of mine in Chicago lose a listing once because the other listing agent was going to put it on this amazing website where all realtors would see it. And it's, of course, our multiple listing service, but he just assumed they knew that he was going to do that all realtors do that. So he never brought it up. And he lost the listing over that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I've had that happen, not losing it that way, but going to list it, and the comment comes up you're going to put this on MLS, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well yeah, but yeah, you just assume they know, but not always the case.
Well, and then we kind of discussed what makes your company unique to the people wanting to come on board, because obviously you're growing. But what have you done in the marketplace to stand out against your competition? Why do people work with your company over the competition?
Before Jordan answers that, we're going to have to wrap it up for our podcast audio, Thomas, and then maybe Jordan can answer that in the bonus content.
Okay, Jonathan's famous cliffhanger. You're going to have to join us on the video over on YouTube or on the MailRight site to see how Jordan answers this. So for the sake of our listeners on the podcast, we're going to sign off, but we'll continue in just a moment. But Jordan, would you please give people your commercial? How do people get in touch with you if they want to meet you, consider working for you, or buy or sell property through you?
Yeah, best place to probably find me is either on my website, which is jordanboyce.com, or find me and add me on Facebook and shoot me a message. I pretty much either or. Facebook Messenger, text, same thing nowadays. So have that on all day.
We'll have all your contact info up on the show notes as well.
Perfect.
All right, Jonathan, how do people get in touch with you if they want to have an amazing experience online with their marketing?
Just go to the website, mail-right.com. We've got a chat box on there. You could email us. We've got a contact page, got the phone number. We're on Facebook, Twitter. Bit like Jordan, I'm always available almost 6 days a week, Thomas. Back to you, Thomas.
All right, and I'm Thomas J. Nelson with Big Block Realty in San Diego, California, where I'm serving the military. I'm serving the 55 and up community, and unfortunately, I'm helping a lot of people go through a divorce with their real property, but I'm helping them make informed decisions doing so. And as someone that's been through that himself, I have a unique experience to bring to that. So if I can be of help to you, reach out to me at 858-232-8722 or find me on my website at thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week. Join us over on video for the bonus content. Bye-bye. All right. So the question was, Jordan, how are you distinguishing your company amongst your competition as far as the market?
One of the biggest things, and I can't, talk down about any other brokers because I simply don't know, but right. I know for myself is my availability. It's kind of got known in the industry that I virtually take no time off. first year, I don't think I took a day off. And to this day, I probably only take 5 or 6 days off the whole year.
Wow.
I'll never leave for more than 3 days at a time. I just get too kind of stir crazy. So a lot of it is support. They know they can phone me pretty much any time until 11 or 12 p.m. and then 6 in the morning, I'll be back at it. So it's almost 24/7 they can get a hold of me.
Are you a married man?
Like you previously.
Okay.
So yeah, not anymore.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is because when I was married the first time, that's the similar mode I was in, and probably lent itself to my divorce. I remarried. I've been remarried for 15 years now, and one of the things that I do to, which is where I'm going with my question, is I take one day off a week, but I have team. So my team, if somebody needs me on that day off, can handle it. What are you doing to prevent burnout? Because that's a heavy schedule you're carrying.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When I started, I had a ton of people come up to me and say I was going to burn out. That you have to slow down. You need a day off, take some time for yourself. And then it just didn't happen. And then another year went by and it didn't happen. And now I'm 8 years in and it still hasn't happened. So to be honest, nothing. I just get up and work pretty much every day, all day. I'll go golfing the odd time in the summer or on a weekend for a few hours, but we go for supper with friends or clients a couple times a week. And that's kind of my downtime. For the most part, I'm pretty involved every day.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't argue that. If I'm a big proponent in preventing burnout, because I think in at least in the United States and definitely in California, we see that's probably the number one reason we lose so many agents. That's our failure rate in the time I've been an agent, which is going on 19 years, has gone from 80% failure rate to 90% in those almost 20 years, because of the burnout factor that technology has created, because of our availability. And
right,
because not everyone's built to handle that. I mean, it sounds like you are. I mean, if you're single and you're satisfied, I mean, what do you do outside of real estate? Besides, I heard you play golf and you travel. Where are you? I mean, do you have a lot of outside interest right now, or is right now real estate your number one interest?
Yeah, like traveling in terms of I travel kind of in quotations. Like we'll go to Vegas for 3 days and 2 nights and come back type thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a, go for 10 days or 2 weeks and lay on a beach guy. After 3 days, I'll be bored out of my mind. But interest to me is just learning, whether it's more about real estate or anything else. I'm actually working with a business coach now on getting certified to do some small business and kind of entrepreneurial coaching for people.
Okay.
So stuff like that, listening to audiobooks or reading, but most of my downtime, I just kind of either reinvest into the business or into myself, just trying to learn more.
Yeah, I'm a bit similar to you, Jordan. I have a crazy schedule compared to other people. But every person's different and their circumstance is different. The one thing I think that mitigates maybe crazy or goes against it is that I feel that a sense from you that you and your firm, you have a clear path. You have systems, internal systems that have worked. Where I think with a lot of agents, and I might be totally wrong here, it's that they get to a stage where they feel everything's out of control. Yeah. They're just bombarded with so many things, so many demands on their time, so they lose control. But I sense with you, Jordan, that you don't have that feeling. Would I be right about that?
Yeah, we're extremely organized. And I think a big part of it goes back to, I love doing this. So yeah, working 14 or 15 hours a day would probably feel like a grind, and I'd burn out really fast if I was getting up every morning going to a job I hated. But there's still nights where I have trouble sleeping because I'm excited to get back up and, something's on the go and I just want to get back at it. So I think for me, not burning out, a lot of it is just because I never feel like I'm actually working. This is what I want to do. So when I go away on a vacation, that almost feels like more work for me than if
Yeah,
I could
but
just
I also,
get back to work.
yeah, but also, do you got a feeling that you never are totally in control? That's not possible, but you feel that each day you got some control because I come across a lot of agents where they feel that they don't have any control, and that's a terrible feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, not to be harsh, but I think that's probably a issue within their own business planning.
Yeah.
We're quite busy. I mean, I still sell full time on top of the brokerage, and I still feel like I have plenty of time in a day.
Well,
It's just prioritizing, and I think what really stood out to me is I had heard, and I think we talked about this last time when we briefly chatted about. I heard a quote on someone saying, like, tomorrow try doing 4 hours what it took you 8 to do today. And it's really true. I mean, I think a lot of people, they spend 2 hours on Facebook and another hour on Instagram, and they feel busy, but there's a difference between being busy and productive. And I don't think a lot of people are being as productive as they could be with their time.
I would agree with you. I mean, it's, and I'm speaking for myself from my early days, the time wasters. And then every time a new tool came out, like when Facebook was new, that was a time suck till you realized how much you were losing on it. The ROI wasn't there. So,
right.
But I think Jonathan brought up a good point, is that feeling of chaos or burnout does come from not having systems, doing everything from scratch every time you have a new client. Instead of having systems in place, and maybe as you grow, having personnel in place to take care of some of the heavy lifting for you so that you can do what you do best. I mean, that's what I think I'm hearing from you, Jordan, is the reason you're not burning out is because you're not doing anything that taxes you. You enjoy what you do, and you have staff and team members to help you with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first year I was running around like crazy, and I think you have to. I mean, you get between that awkward point where you're almost too busy for one, but you're not busy enough to justify hiring a full-time assistant.
Yeah, we've all been there.
So you got to just kind of do it for a while. But once you get to that stage where you know you need an assistant, I mean, mine's been with me now pretty much the whole time I've been in real estate.
Wow.
So she started about 3 or 4 months after, because I got off to a good start.
Can I ask a question about that? Because I've observed something else actually in the industry. Is a lot of agents, they get through assistants really quick, and I observed that that a lot of them are their expectations. You've got to have standards. They've got to do the job, but also you've got to understand they can't replace. What I'm trying to struggle is the right wording that I just noticed that a lot of agents get it through, and it's probably how much they pay them, they treat them. How have you maintained that relationship with your assistant, and kept it going?
Yeah, I mean, a few different things. When we first met, like, she had been an agent for a little while and just didn't like it, but she wanted to stay in the industry. So we met with her and hired her, and that was actually the only person I have ever interviewed for an assistant job. I've never had to since. Pay is important, and same with our staff at the office. We haven't lost anybody. 3 years, it's still our same staff. But yeah, I think they bring in a few deals a year too, right? They refer friends, family, which pays for a lot of themselves. But I pay a salary plus a per deal bonus.
Yeah.
So they're a little more vested in me doing well too. And you got to start them with a decent wage, I believe, or else a lot of people in that position, they're just going to look for the next best job and quit a month later. And, if they're going to get $2 or $3 an hour more somewhere else, they're going to jump ship. So pay them competitively, and I just treat them good. We don't really have any like set schedule. I mean, they have hours, but it's, if your work's getting done and you want to go do something for the afternoon, as long as I know my business is being handled, I'm pretty lenient. Like she works at home 3 days a week and comes in the office for 2.
Mm-hmm.
But with the way everything has went now with DocuSign and Authentisign,
yeah,
you don't really need to be in the office all day.
Yeah, that's true.
The reason why I bring it up, I had an agent and they were quite a large client, and he had got through 3 assistants in less than 9 months, and I had to help train every assistant on the Mailrite system.
Oh yeah.
And I was in his office, and I thought, and then he started talking to his assistant, and I thought, well, she ain't gonna stay she'll be off, and the next week she was gone.
Oh yeah, no, I don't talk to them like they're an assistant. For me, they're just as equal part of team as I am. So
yeah,
we've actually become good friends outside of work and have been for years. So yeah, I've been lucky, but it's worked great.
I would agree with that. I mean, I use virtual assistants now, but when I had live in the office assistants, I mean, I think the shortest time I ever had one was 1.5 years, and that was because he just realized I always trained assistants to grow in the company to eventually be licensees and become buyer's agents. But, they see the real estate from the outside. They come in and realize it's not what they thought it was going to be. It's not what it looks like on TV. And so that's probably the number one reason I've lost assistants is not overpay or treatment, but they just didn't see themselves staying in real estate and they wanted to get out of the industry.
Yeah. That's why I think I was fortunate that she had tried real estate as an agent, didn't like it, but still wanted to stay in the industry.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm bit opposite that way. I don't want them to want to become agents because then I'm having to rehire staff every 6 months.
Right.
That's
a nightmare. So
yeah, well, it's I don't want to go off on a tangent, but we had it set up where they had a required amount of time they had to spend as the assistant, and they were required to help train and actually help screen the new hire if they were going to advance. So we put a lot of that on them because we had a bonus system set up as well, and they were incentivized to make sure they made good decisions on personnel too.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I wanted to ask you real quick because I know we got to wrap up, but you mentioned education and training is a big joy. And I'm curious, do you want to share who you're coaching with or anything that you've been involved in as far as a training that you want to share with people?
Yeah, my first real estate coach was a broker from Montreal. It was Tatiana Londono, the big frizzy blonde hair girl. She had a property shop TV show on HGTV for a while. She was awesome. She was kind of doing the same thing I was, but prior, was an agent and then went out and opened her own independent brokerage. So that helped out quite a bit, just what to look for, what to do, how to set up your processes, what commission structures to have in place. And then I more so just with a few online guys.
Okay.
Ryan Stuman, I'm in one of his groups. That's where learn about more of the online marketing and stuff like that. But right now I don't have a one-on-one coach that I talk to anymore, but it's still something I'm a big fan of.
Are you a reader? Are you reading anything that you want to share that's a good book or listening to on tape?
Right now I'm currently reading The Everything Store, Jeff Bezos' book from Amazon. Wow. So it's crazy. It puts things into perspective when you think you work a lot of hours till you read what some of those guys did to get their companies going.
Okay.
And it's, kind of, this ain't so bad working 12 or 14 hours a day when they were basically sleeping on the floor of their office.
Yeah.
So, no, it's an interesting read for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up. We've been enjoying a great conversation with Jordan Boys. He's the broker owner of Boys Group Realty Incorporated up in Canada. Jordan, for one more time for our viewers, what's a great way to get in touch with you if they want to chat with you more about either working for you or working with you?
Yeah, you can find me either on my website or Facebook, just with jordanvoice.com or Jordan Voice on Facebook. As well, you can shoot me a text or call 306-270-9028.
All right. And that's Boys, Boyes, if you're listening and not watching. And we will have all the contact information for Jordan up on the site when we go post. So, Jonathan, one more time for our viewers, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, it's really easy, folks. Just go to the Millwright website and we've got loads of information. And I just want to thank Jordan. It's been an excellent interview and I've enjoyed it tremendously, Jordan.
I agree.
Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, brokers and agents are my favorite to interview because I always pick up some great tips that I can put into my business. So thank you for being so generous with your time. And folks, thanks for being generous with your time watching us. I'm Thomas J. Nelson with Big Block Realty in San Diego. And we'll see you next week on the Millwright Real Estate Agent Podcast Show. Bye-bye.
Thanks.